Hi, I'm Niki, the Obsessive Bookseller. Welcome to my channel and to this massive book haul. Don't panic, I know I just aired a book haul a couple of weeks ago on my channel. That one was actually filmed back in April, so I have been collecting all of these for the last 4 or 5 months, and they are beautiful. I am continuing to be really picky on what I allow into my collection these days, and as you can see, I have mostly special editions that I picked up. Some books I've read, most of them I haven't, but ones that are really high up on the priority list. Like, I don't even know where to start. Okay. Winter Lost by Patricia Briggs. Target was having a hardcover sale, so I went through all of the new releases that I hadn't purchased yet, and finally, boop, got myself a nice new copy. I love these covers. I'm a big fan. This is the first Mercy book that I did not read before publication. Usually I hunt down an ARC, and I had one, but I didn't get around to it, which is like total blasphemy. But I am really looking forward to this one. I think it's book 14 in the series if you don't count the Alpha and Omega. Next up, I picked up the Soulfire Saga by Matthew Ward, The Darkness Before Them and the Fire Within Them. These are signed, numbered, broken binding editions. And the thing is I picked up this second one on a whim. I ordered it because Broken Binding had it available. And then once I ordered it, I'm like, I'm an idiot. Because I ordered that one, I had to hunt down this one on the secondhand market, which wasn't available anymore, obviously, to purchase firsthand from Broken Binding. So I paid more for this series than I thought I would. But I also have nice hardcovers for the Legacy trilogy that he wrote, so I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that this is an author that's going to work for me, because I have, at this point, invested more in his works than a lot of authors that I actually love. So it wouldn't be one of my book hauls without at least one gamble. Having read and loved 3 books by Emily Henry, I immediately went out and tried to find the final 2 that I didn't own. This one came out last year, and then Funny Story came out this year. They're not related in any way, and there aren't any character crossovers, which I like. They're self-contained stories, but it kind of feels like a series that I'm in the middle of. They are just so good. Book Lovers is the one that gets the most attention, and I think it's the most accessible, but I would have a hard time telling you which one I actually like the most. So far, they've all been absolutely outstanding and for different reasons. So very happy to add this to my collection. I love pink, so this one is great. The only thing I don't like, kind of a minor detail, this one has lemons on the spine, and if you set them all side by side on the shelf, it's the only one that's kind of like more complicated. Everything else has a sleek one color display, so that kind of bugs me. Keep it consistent, people. I love this. This is The Scarab's Path. It's book 5 in the Shadows of the App series. You all know I love Tchaikovsky, most of his works anyway. The Broken Binding has continued to produce these beautiful editions, and I plan on collecting them until the series is done. I'm 1 book ahead of this, so hopefully I'll have everything read by the time the books come out. This is the chunkiest one yet, and I think it is absolutely gorgeous. This might be poor book buying decisions. So back in February, the Broken Binding had the Bone Season and the Mime Order on sale. Not on sale. These were not cheap. They have these really cool sprayed edges, and I have Priory of the Orange Tree by this author and haven't read it yet. We're actually doing a buddy read for it soon. And I thought, you know, if I like the author, I will really kick myself for not picking these up. The problem is like, I hear the book has been rewritten. Is this the rewrite version? I certainly hope so. I'm not sure how to tell. And also, I think there are more than 2 books in the series, so hopefully they will be producing more than just these 2. Happy to have them. There is something kind of fun about like having the painful charge hit your account months in the past and then to suddenly get the books, because it's sunk costs. You've already spent the money, and so suddenly you've got free books showing up. At least that's how it feels. Feels like a surprise. Next up, Service Model by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This is the Broken Binding edition. I believe it's the UK edition. This one's also signed. I really liked the detail on the cover with the blood in the cup. I thought that was really evoking. I actually really do like the US version as well, but decided to go with this one because it was signed. Probably one of my least favorites by him so far, but still like a solid 3-star, like a good book. So I love those kind of authors where no matter what you get from them, you know it's going to be good. On Pango, I found a hardcover of Dragons of Autumn Twilight by Margaret Wise and Tracy Hickman. This is not in the most amazing shape of anything that I've purchased off of there, but I love these covers and I've forever wanted to start collecting them, and you got to start somewhere. So I bought a kind of crappy copy of this, but at least it's like not horrible, and a nice hardcover to add to my collection and kind of start there. It's a can of worms though, because now I'm actively hunting the other ones. But see, this is one of those series I'm happy casually collecting. I'm not going to go hunt them out, but if one crosses my radar at a reasonable price, then I'll probably pick it up. Also on the Target sale, I bought 2 of the most recent Legend of Drizzt books that I did not have already. We have Loth's Warrior and Starlight Enclave. I'm so far behind in this series right now that I need to get going on it again, but for the time being, at least I have copies of the hardcovers, because I missed a couple while collecting, and now I'm kind of kicking myself for not staying on top of it. They had ugly covers, and I thought that can't be part of the series. It's got an ugly cover, so I won't buy it. Maybe it won't exist if I don't buy it. Yeah, I need them. I entered a giveaway through Anthony Ryan's website and got the Road of Storms. This is an ARC edition of his 7 Swords series, book like 6 or something, which I had already pre-ordered it from the Subterranean Press, but I'm not going to turn down a personalized signed ARC from one of my favorite authors. So I'm actually looking to restart this series so that I can continue with momentum, because it was really good. Really good! Short little novellas, a lot of creativity, and I'm so excited to have this one. A Pango find that I've tickled about, Definitely Dead by Charlaine Harris. This is book 5 or 6 in the Sookie Stackhouse series. This is not a standard hardcover. This is a book club edition, but it's the only way that the first 6 books or so exist in hardcover. So I'm happy to pick it up. There are some that have like the shiny, sparkly bits on the cover, and then there are some standard ones. So I am slowly trying to collect all of the shiny ones. And this was a pretty decent edition for probably around 10 bucks. So yeah, love that I'm picking these up slowly. I finally broke down and got the Fairy Loot editions of Emily Wilde. So Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies and the Map of the Otherlands. These are signed, sprayed edges editions. And I'm really hoping that I end up enjoying this series, because at this point I've invested quite a bit in it. I really didn't want the Fairy Loot edition. I think the standard hardcover that was released in the UK is better, but I couldn't find one of those. At least the one that I found was really beat up, but they wanted about the same price as these. So I went with these. Hopefully they're good. I picked up Lord of Emperors, Book 2 in the Sarantine Mosaic by Guy Gavriel Kay. I hear you all when you say that this is not a good place to start with this author. It's not as accessible. Knowing that, I can go into it knowing that it's going to be a bit of a challenge and it doesn't represent the most accessible bits of his work, but I've heard such good things about this second book in particular that I'm willing to risk it. I feel like I've got pretty thick skin when it comes to challenging books nowadays, so I'm game. I'm game to give this one a go. And I'll probably read this one and the first one back to back and treat it as one big long narrative. But excited to have this for my collection. I really don't like the hardcover editions, so that's kind of why I'm going for the trade paperbacks, but yeah, can't wait. I don't talk about this author a lot on my channel just because I read her so long ago, but I have the Vampire Academy series, the Fairy Loot editions by Rochelle Mead, and I picked them up because the initial run of this series, the first 3 books were only available in trade paperback, and then they got hardcover runs from there. They later did an anniversary edition of the first book, but you can't get the second 2 in hardcover. And so I thought, this is one of my all-time favorite series. Like, the first ones were just okay, but as soon as you got into book 4 and 5, oh my gosh, they were amazing. So I love Rochelle Mead. I've read everything the woman has out on the market, and I thought these sprayed edges editions were really lovely. They also have artwork on the inside, like reversible flap art, but am I the only one who thinks, for the most part, all of the art for Fairy Loot looks really immature and kind of cheesy? I like the flower aspect, but yeah, I don't love that. But the only redeeming quality other than the sprayed edges and the hardcover status is that the first one is signed. So I bought these on the secondhand market. but I was lucky enough to be in time for the pre-order for the next 3, so I will have the entire set. Love this author. If you don't want to read Vampire Academy, read like any of her adult stuff. She has Succubus Blues, an urban fantasy series, and this is one of my all-time favorites. It's so good. Very well done. By the way, if sharing books like this looks awkward on camera, it feels awkward. I thought this was going to be a really good idea to keep all these organized, but you live and learn. I don't know anything about this series. It's The Wolf Song by TJ Klune, and I think the covers on these are so stinking cute. Someone was selling these nice pristine hardcovers on Pango for $30 for the whole set, and I thought, I loved House on the Cerulean Sea, so I'm probably primed to like this author's writing in general, and I thought the premise looked really good. Like, why haven't I heard about these ones? If you've read them, let me know, because I think they look so much fun, absolutely delightful. I bought them on a whim because they were cool editions at a cheap price, and then suddenly they've kind of expedited themselves in my TBR. Like, I really want to dive into these. I think I'm gonna love them. Shapeshifters. I think it's Shapeshifters. I got my broken binding edition of Republic of Thieves by Scott Lynch, the 3rd book in the Gentleman Bastard series. I'm sure if you watch BookTube, you've already seen this. One of my all-time favorite series. Actually, the initial run hardcover of this is this exact same image, cover image, but the other 2 books weren't as good. So now I'm glad to have this beautiful matching set. On Pango, I picked up this Book of a Month edition of Practical Magic by Alice Hoffman. I like witches, I like urban fantasy. This is probably more magical realism. Not that I truly know the difference between the two other than where you shelve it in the bookstore. But for an inexpensive hardcover for a book that I've always wanted to give a try, I thought it would be really fun. This is one of those books where I will put on my shelves, and then when I get around to it for Read Burn Hoard, I'm going to be so happy that I bought it. This is the kind of curation that just makes me really happy. I waffled on whether or not to get the broken binding edition of Blood and Bone, especially since I missed out on the Faithful and the Fallen series in hardcover. And I wasn't sure because I did not love these as much as I loved that first set of books. These were like 3-star reads. I can see why a lot of people love them. They had a lot of the same elements that was in the first book, but for some reason they just didn't sing to me. However, these beautiful editions with like sprayed edges and everything, like they sure as heck sing to me now. So even though I didn't absolutely love the books themselves, I'm a huge fan of the author. I've loved everything else by him that I've read. So I think this is a really nice set to bring home, like worth the investment for sure. Gee, I wonder what's left. I've been wanting to find the broken binding editions of the Tide Child trilogy by R.J. Barker ever since I saw that that's what the broken binding was producing. I kept my eye on the secondary market until I finally found an affordable set. And this series sounds like one that I'll enjoy. Some people who liked a lot of other series that I've also enjoyed really liked this set. I love nautical fantasy in general and dragons. I mean, come on. And so I think with the purchase of this is the last broken binding set that I didn't have that I wanted. I wasn't a subscriber in time to get, other than that Faithful and Fallen one. But yes, I saved up for this one for a couple of months. Very excited to have it now. The Broken Binding's latest fantasy subscription box. This is Jade City. And I don't know if the camera does it justice. It certainly didn't when other people were flashing it by for me. But I think the sprayed edges on this thing are absolutely stunning. And the markup of the cover image was not nearly as pretty as what we ended up with. I love that they're each scenes or whatever. I haven't gotten the next ones yet, but I know the second one is on its way. I have read this series already. It's as good as people say it is. I could have used a little more fantasy elements to it, but I mean, that's my only complaint. It was absolutely superb. All of the books, such tight writing, such depth of character exploration. I mean, I can still remember some of the scenes that she chose to slow down months and months later. Like, normally I don't retain books or scenes like that, but yeah, she did an amazing job. The third book is especially good at those kind of moments, which is why I think people geek out about it so much. So Very excited to have nice editions of this for my shelf. I'll probably display it like this. I don't usually display the sprayed edges out, but they're so vibrant. And last but not least, part of the Broken Binding Sci-Fi subscription box, I've got Project Hail Mary and Artemis by Andy Weir. And as it happens, I have just finished The Martian as of this morning, and it was phenomenal. One of the best books I've read of the year so far. I kind of figured it would be, but you know how sometimes really popular books, they just don't land? This one landed. Like, move over, Becky Chambers. I think this is the true feel-good sci-fi. Like, I made a deal with myself that if I'm going to be forking out money for subscription boxes every month, I'm going to actually be reading the books in a timely fashion. I'm a little bit behind to start with, so I've read The Martian. I'll probably read Artemis next and then this one, and hopefully I'll be ready in time for when the 3-body problem starts getting shipped out. So that'll be fun. Keep me accountable. I need to actually do what I say I'm going to do. The fantasy box so far, we've had Gentleman Bastards and Greenbone Saga, which I've already read both. The next one coming up is Dragonbone Chair, and I have been waiting for years and years for a hardcover set of that series. I did not like the Grim Oak Press editions, so the fact that the Broken Binding is actually going to answer my book prayers and get me a beautiful edition, I am committing to starting that series over again and continuing on with the release of those Broken Binding editions. It's so beautiful. Like the dragon front and center, I can finally get rid of my ugly coverless paperbacks. That's a lot of books. There are a couple of editions in there that I think if I end up liking the series, I'll be really happy that I have. But I did take a few, like I gambled a little bit, especially with Bone Season. But overall, I am tickled with everything that I purchased. I always said that as soon as I bought my first special edition, it would be like opening a Pandora's box, because you can't just stop at one, you gotta get them all. It's like Pokemon. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you saw anything that I haven't read that I really need to prioritize. Let me know what cool books you've picked up lately. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you on my next video.